Hey everybody, what's up? It's me, Brianna. I hope all is well. Feeling a little bit sick, so don't mind how I sound. Um, but today I wanted to talk about how it is safe to say that we don't know. Um, Coming from trauma and just unhealthy spaces, we always have to know, just living in survival mode, we have to know what's going on. And we can't take nobody's word for it. We can't, you know, listen to what nobody else has to say. I don't want to hear, your tips and pointers on things because I already know what it is, right? Growing up, you are left alone to really figure things out, like help with homework is like figure it out. Chores is figure it out. But at the same time, with these expectations of you got it, right? Or make it be perfect. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't got it. And I don't know what perfect means because you didn't tell me. You just told me, figure it out. And I don't have any help and I don't have any words of wisdom. And I want to talk about that a little bit. But just having to figure it out. And I wrote down neglect and like adultification and parentification and the expectations. You are told nothing, but you are expected to do everything in the right ways. Like, you don't have words of wisdom. You don't have, okay, well, this is how to deal with these things in the world. You don't have protection. You don't have support. You don't have the space to even say how you've had to deal with things on your own. But there's always this, well, did you do it? Or is it perfect? Or was it perfectly done? Was it spotless? Was it flawless? And it's so inadequate. It's so confusing. I feel like I wrote down emotional abuse and psychological abuse because that's what it is to me. That's what it feels like, because mentally you are not there, but you're having to do it. Emotionally, it's like you can lean on me, but not really. You know what I mean? Like, because in the same breath of figure it out, you are left on your own to figure it out and protect yourself, and with the expectation of it has to be perfect. These same people come back around and say, like, it's like, oh, was it perfect, or did you do the thing, or whatever the case may be? But they say, oh, you can lean on me. Oh, you can talk to me. If you need anything, blah, 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 right? But it's not that. It's so weird. And it plays with your heart. It plays with your mind. And it leaves you feeling very confused. And, growing up in that, I feel like that goes into adultification and emotional incest, which is like, though they say, because there's another thing, right? Like, oh, you can depend on me, but they make you vulnerable, or they make you have to show up for them. They make you hold space for them. And I don't like that, because it's like I'm having to be my own big sister, big brother, mother, father, cousin, grandparent, and they're right here in front of me. This is not like, you know what I mean? Like, they're far off. They're right here in front of me, right? And it's because I have to figure things out on my own. And then when I do exist to them, at least an ounce, I have to put all my little bit of energy, my fighting breath, into well, how was your day? Or now we have to deal with your conflict. Or this is not the way to go about this. Or professionalism. Or, like how to maneuver a grocery store. You know what I mean? Like you need to shop for this. Or, like having to be keen on sales and, like it's kind of, hi Jackie. My cat just opened the door, pushed the door open. But it's very just unhealthy. It's very unhealthy because you're still not being shown up for, and you're still being like treated in a way as though you are, but the only person who is getting something out of it, Jackie, come on. The only person or the people who are getting something out of it is none of you, right? It's none of you. Jackie, are you trying to get in the window? Hi. Come on. Oof. Yeah. And it just feels very low. And to go through that your entire life is so draining, and it's so hurtful. It's very confusing, and you don't really know what to feel, honestly, because it's like I'm supposed to trust these people, but I'm having to show up for myself, and they're right here in my space, in my household. And then getting consequences or critiques, right, about how bad it was or how it shouldn't be like this, but then it being used against me because I need to show up for them, right? I need to be more trusting because they are showing up for me, but what's happening is I'm being broken down to keep having to show up for them. And it's very dehumanizing. But what I wrote down next was like words of wisdom. And what I'm speaking from is a family space. So don't, I don't want to, I just want to clarify that. But like words of wisdom and pieces of like tidbits of life, life lessons, and just like open conversations and supportive, tidbits to that one would receive, and you don't get them because you have to figure everything out on your own. And one thing I notice is that toxic people, regardless of what flavor, mild or spicy or extreme or, passive or passive aggressive, they know, they just don't care. And they want this dominance and this control. And you having to figure everything out on your own is their way to hold that. Because you figuring everything out on your own is them saying like, I'm bigger than you, I'm better than you, I'm smarter than you. And they will die. These parents, grandparents, parents, older siblings, they will die with these words of wisdoms. And watching you go through the most uncomfortable, debilitating things, right? And it's like, oh, I know. And it's like, well, why didn't you tell me? Right? And they will never tell you. Or they feel like, oh, you need to get on my level to tell you. Like I heard, like now that I'm an adult, it's like, oh, things are easier. Or like, in some way I'm on their level, or, to talk about things that before I couldn't, to be a part of conversations before I couldn't. And the conversations still are not helpful because they still just talk around in circles because they want to have that I'm smarter than you feeling, right? That dominance. But I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I'm on limited time right now. So I just wanted to get this out and just, let everybody know, like, you're not tripping. This is very deep, and I'll come back and talk about more. But yeah, it is hard, and don't give up hope, and just keep going, keep breathing, keep trying, and keep doing your best because you're worthy of being here, and you are in your right mind and you are perfect, no part of you is wrong or ungodly or unnatural. There's so much to talk about and unpack, but you are worth being here and you are worth trying. So just keep breathing, keep staying alive, and just take care. I wanted to add on how we need the support. We need to be shown up for. We need the words of wisdom. We need the safe space. We need this because we're being made to be hyper independent, but yet codependent at the same time, instead of, full of our authenticity and healthily independent, right? Being independent and interdependent, like I can lean on you if I need to. It's like, don't come to me at all. But then at the same time, I need you to be here all the time, but then you don't get anything. And then you have to figure it all out on your own. And that's a whole different conversation. Maybe, maybe not, because it's all intertwined. But we need that and we don't get that. And then you're kept in a space where you're not ever going to get it, and you just have to be satisfied with, like, okay, this is just what it is. And then sooner or later, you start to just like keep everything, withhold everything, or become what I believe is disengaged. Because you have that acceptance of, I know this place, I know how this place is run. And so with that in mind, I need to keep myself as much as possible, as safe as possible, as supported as possible. You know what I mean? Like in my own head, just like reciting affirmations or reaffirming or reassuring myself, pushing myself, being my own cheerleader, things like that. Like you don't say anything good or bad. You don't, you know what I mean? Like you don't bring up anything good or bad, because it's like, okay, well, what did you do? Because you are expected to keep being hyper independent. But at the same time, they can keep walking around like that's not the case. And then behind closed doors, getting everything, like just siphoning everything from you, all of your energy, so that you show up for them. It's very twisted and odd. And I would like to go into this more, but we need that support. We needed that support. We needed that protection and that safeness. And I know for, a lot of people, they, myself included, it's like experiences where they're in the experiences or the experience where you need the support. You know what I mean? Like there's like, they set up that experience, or they were a part of that experience, or they protected the wrongful person in that experience, or they didn't listen to you when you said something, or they aided the person in their weird gestures and so-called social norms, social interactions. So, it's just, it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's heavy, and we should not be burdened. We should not be weighed down and ready to just throw in a towel, so young in an environment that's supposed to be set up to push us and make sure that we become good humans, So yeah, it's very inadequate. It's very unhealthy. But the more you have a space to talk about it, and that it's real, and there's names for these things, and there's other people out there, you know what I mean? Like, you're not alone is a very tricky statement for me to hear, because I didn't want to be one, and you're telling me that I'm one of, I'm one of a couple hundred, I'm one of millions, I'm one of, you know what I mean? So it was very triggering for me to accept, like, because the headspace that I was in, and sometimes it still happens, it's like I'm angry because while everything is going on, right, you have to suppress everything, because if this is the environment that you're supposed to be kept in and you're not being acknowledged, you don't have the space to to feel. You don't have the space to express. You're not worthy of authenticity and expressing your true self and being independent and assertive and clear on things. So you just suppress everything, and everything that you are suppressing mostly is the rage, the anger, the uncomfortableness, the unease, the unsafe feelings, and having to be in self-defense mode, having to be in survival mode, and it's just so much. It's so much, but I just wanted to add on how we deserve that safeness, and we deserve that reassurance and those words of wisdoms, and to be protected, to be acknowledged, to be aided and supported and encouraged and enlightened, to be ourselves, to just simply be. Yeah, we deserve that, and it made us hyper independent and codependent, or hyper independent in a codependent space. I want to clarify that, because it's not us who want to be there, it's the people around who want to keep us there, because they don't feel like they could get their supply quickly enough, fast enough. So just don't even risk it. Just never let us go. And it makes you go even more crazy or feel even more crazy, right? But we are deserving of good things, and we're not tripping. We ain't crazy. You know what I mean? And we are worthy of being here and keeping going. So I just want to say that, yeah, because it's a lot, and people don't really understand how deep or complex, or like every fiber of your being, every muscle, every bone, every instinct, right? Every word has some type of negative connotation or trauma experience attached to it, or trigger. And it's so much to unpack, and I know that I'm not the only one, and I know that there are a lot of people who are not the only ones. So I just need to say that, and add on that we need the support, we need the help, and we need the education, because we don't know, and it's safe for us to say now. And I think that it should have always been safe for us to say, and it's something that we weren't in denial, but we were not safe to say that we don't know, because it wasn't safe to ask for help. We weren't going to get the help or the protection or the reassurance or the encouragement. We were going to get the opposite, or we were going to get nothing. Right? So yeah, and it may seem like counterproductive, if that's the word I'm trying to say. There's something I'm thinking about, but it may seem like, I'll say counterproductive, but it's keep showing up for yourself, because you don't know how strong you are, and that's a whole different thing. I'm tired of being strong. I'm tired of having to keep showing up, but in this context, it's for your freedom, instead of to keep going through everything. So just keep how am I trying to say? Keep pushing yourself, because you're worth being alive and getting closer to your betterment, your freedom, whatever that is. So yeah, because this is not normal to be just surviving when we are supposed to be living and being and experiencing. And none of that is really happening, or not the good things, or what we think is good, because that's another conversation, because this is normal to them, being inadequate, but it's not normal to me, and people like me. So they can say that this is normal, godly, good, human nature, because for them it is. But for me and people like me, that is not. That is a disturbance. That is a threat. That is harmful. That is unsafe. That is twisted. It's confusing, and it's diabolical, and it's degrading, and it's just very clouded. Yeah. So don't blame yourself. Don't beat yourself up. yeah, it's so much to dive into, the manipulation, because it's like trauma bonding, and you know they act like they don't know, but they do, because then they come back with things about you that they've heard you say while when you were saying it, they wasn't giving you any attention, right? They weren't holding space for you, or at least they didn't look like it. But they bring up those certain notes, like things that they've taken notes on, and throw it back in your face to keep you stuck. It's a lot. And it's like I'm speaking all over the place, because that's kind of how it works with them. You attack from all different locations or dimensions or aspects of a person, and you break them down because you need to keep them where you need them. But if what's normal to them is dehumanization, you're not meant to really exist. And so just keep staying alive. It's hard. It is really hard. And it's something that people don't understand. It's something that you can see in movies, and people think that this is entertainment, but it's very triggering for you. That is not entertainment. That is not funny. That is not what would you do in that situation? Would you rather game card? It is not. It is very real, and it is very uncomfortable, and it is very destabilizing, and it's very scary. Because you have to be in the hyper independent, right? And I know I keep talking, but it's like you have your personhood hijacked. Because they attack you from different points, but it's with like it's you. And that's just really, really fucked up. That's really fucked up. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end it. So if you haven't today, take a breath, drink some water, stretch a little bit, move around a little bit, and keep breathing, keep pushing forward, for your sake, not for the sake of survival. And that's kind of hard, but just think like this is for my betterment, not for maintaining in this space. So yeah, it's just a little way of like keeping going, I guess. So be well and take care.